Mary Flowers Boyce is in the house. Hello, Sandra. I see you. Oh,
Dr.
lots of
Kim?
people. Yeah, Dr. Kim, I'm so excited. Okay, this is awesome. This is awesome. We have about 2 minutes, so we're just going to hang out for a second. I want to make sure everybody catches up, and then we will get started. So you can get you something to drink. I have my mango smoothie because real life happens and dinner did not.
Yeah, right.
Right? So don't forget, you can ask questions. If you are going to do any kind of social media, which we would all appreciate, you can use the hashtag #GrowGlobal. Aprille, can you type your Twitter handle in the private Facebook group so people can make sure they tag you,
Yes.
please? And I will type mine after you. And everybody else, if you could type your Twitter handles in there too so that we can make sure that we follow everybody. Don't forget, we'll be taking questions. We have about 30 seconds, and then we will get started.
Sounds great.
All right, and as always, I will rely on all my folks in the Facebook private community to let us know if there is an issue with sound at any point. But we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Nikki Woods. Hello. I am the global visibility expert, and I am so excited to be here with you for this first webinar that we've done in the Grow Global series. And so, just a little bit about myself for people who do not know. I've been in media a long time, traditional media. It's, you know, I've stopped giving a number if it didn't give me so much credibility, but it's probably been close to 16 years that I've been in radio and television. And so I have a love for communicating not only my message, but sharing of other messages. And when social media popped up, I figured out pretty quickly on that it was a really cool way for people to start developing platforms. And by platforms, I mean just a way, a venue, a place where you can share whatever it is your message is. So like Oprah has her huge television platform and magazine platform and other mediums. So, you know, Tom Joyner, who I work for, has his platform. We all can start developing platforms using not only traditional media, but also social media, which is not only really cool, it's really free, and we can do it without anybody's permission. So my mission in life has become to kind of join the two and teach people how they can develop their platform and grow an engaged audience. So when you have a message, a book, a play, whatever it is, you have an audience ready there to support and sustain that dream. So that's what I've been doing. So in 2014, I really wanted to start putting all the pieces together of how you can not only grow your platform, but grow it globally. Thus the hashtag #GrowGlobal. So if you're tweeting, if you're on Facebook, if you're posting anything that you're going to learn in this webinar, because it's going to be juicy, make sure you use the hashtag #GrowGlobal. And I've also asked Apriel, who I will introduce in a second, to pop her Twitter handle up there so you can make sure that you tag her. And also I put mine in there as well so that you can make sure that you tag me. But I have you here for an hour, so I want to make sure that we're honoring everybody's time, especially yours. And I want to make sure that you get everything that you need from Aprille and myself today. So I want to go ahead and get started. Don't forget, you can type your questions in our private Facebook community, and we will be answering them as we go along. So if you guys could just say hi and check in and let us know where you are, I would be really excited. So let's go get started. So Aprille, she said I did not know that, but I guess most good stalkers don't usually let you know. But I was I was able to meet Aprille at a conference last May, and I was. I was privileged to meet her. I want to make sure everybody is seeing the live feed because I see some people are having trouble. But I think that people are starting to get it. But anyway, so I met Aprille at this function. We were on Twitter just tweeting away, talking to, about where we were. And, we figured out that we were both there. And, she was like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Where are you?" And we turn around and I'm sitting right behind her. So it was really, really cool to meet her in person. And then when I found out that what she did, I was amazed because we were doing some of the same things, but definitely she has her different spin on it and her unique way of doing things. But then when I figured out how helping women not only get fired up about what they're doing, but sometimes redefining what they have to do, I was really, really interested in learning more about her. And the more I learned, the more I loved. And now I'm thankful to be able to call her, friend, mentor, coach, and all of that stuff. So I'm excited to introduce you to Aprille Franks-Hunt, who is not only, as I said, my friend, but she's an author, a speaker, she's a life and business advisor, as well as a multifaceted business professional who walked away from a successful career to pursue her passion of inspiring women beyond motivation. We'll talk about her book in a little bit, but she has become a fixture not only in the Oklahoma City community, but now in social media, and truly she is going global. And it's because of her tenacity and her determination to make sure that other women are living their best lives ever. So she is, like I said, not only a life coach, but she was really, really great at helping people figure out the path that they should be pursuing and package that. And that is where the branding comes in. And so when I wanted to talk about how people can create their brand and then make it profitable, I definitely wanted to bring Aprille onto the platform, if you will, so that she can share her story with us. Hi, Aprille.
Hi, Nikki and everyone.
How are you, honey?
I'm fabulous in live stream world.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yes. So tell me, is there anything that I left out that you want to share before we get started with the teachings?
The only thing I can share is just that I'm really excited to be in this space, sharing it with you and the people who are on. Branding is something that kind of fell into my lap, and I'm just ready to get started and see what we can help some of these small business owners and entrepreneurs with.
All right. So we're going to talk eventually about the 5 W's that you need to build a bankable brand. We want to make sure that we're taking all of your questions. But let's start talking about your brand, Aprille. Women Recharge. That is what your platform has become, and it's what you believe in. But I'm sure that it didn't just fall in your lap. Tell me how you got started creating your brand, Women Recharged.
Well, one of the things that really helped me when I knew that I had to be intentional about what I was putting out there, because I was with the understanding that everything that we do, people are paying attention to, and we react based on the things that we see, how we feel about certain things. And it really started for me after a series of experiences, and you talked about my book. After a series of experiences, I just decided that the platform I wanted to use that would connect with women, because that's where I needed to be recharged. I was kind of feeling kind of blah. So that's really where it kind of started from. I literally one day said I need to start something, and boom, boom, Women Recharged, and that was kind of it. And then, of course, I've grown since then and have been extremely intentional about what we're delivering, who we're connecting with. And so that really is where it started for me. It started with just a regular need. So, just real life stuff. And then it kind of has developed into something much larger.
And so what were some of the kinds of things that you honed in on that really was like, okay, this is it?
Some of the things I honed in on that I think is really important that people forget when they're building a business and building a brand is that you're connecting with people. So what really let me know that I was on target was my target. was the women who I was connecting with. They really let me know. So what that taught me was it was more so about what people needed as opposed to what I was offering. So a lot of times we get really passionate about what we have to offer and what we're doing, and we forget to put ourselves in the shoes of the person or the people that we're wanting to serve. So I had to get real clear on who it was I really wanted to connect with and what they needed, not just from an ego standpoint or me just, being ambitious. Oh, I need to get this done and get that done. So for the people watching, that's a really good place to start, is know exactly, and that's actually one of the 5 W's, just know exactly who it is that you want to be talking to and who cares, about what it is you have going on. So for me, Nikki, that really was, kind of what it was. I really connected with the people, and they told me that I was on the right track.
Got it. Very good. So what are the elements, and we'll get to that, but what are the elements of creating a bankable brand?
So the elements of creating a bankable brand, and what that means, first of all, a brand is a business. Your business, any business you're building a brand, whether you're building it intentionally or by default. So you're always building a brand. It's a matter of how sharp that brand and how profitable and how service oriented that brand happens to be. So the elements of that are really kind of clear. We really want to make sure that we connect with the who do you or what do you care about. So just shifting into the 5 W's, Nikki, the first W is what do you care about?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the groundwork that people skip. No one wants to, sit down and write down the questions. No one wants to do the business of doing business, as my coach Allison Bird says. So it's really important to identify what you care about. And why is that important? Because that then leads to not only what you care about, but then you want to know who cares about what you care about. Because the people who care about what you care about and what you're offering are going to be your target audience. Those are going to be the people that are cheering for you and championing your success. So those are a couple of the elements. And then, the next thing kind of is you have to really ask yourself, what are you really selling? You're not selling popcorn or cupcakes.
Mm-hmm.
You're selling an outcome. Whether it's
Right.
business or personal, whatever it is, you're really selling an outcome. And the outcome then needs to connect with the people who care about what you care about. And that really is really important too. So but I don't want to we can get into some more details, but just to kind of answer your question, those are some of the initial elements to get out of the way. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And who cares? And to be quite frank with you, when I first started writing my book, Confessions of an Independent Woman, a few years ago, I spoke with a book coach, and I told her, hey, I want to write a book. I got to tell my story. And this is usually where it starts, right? For most people, most men, women, whatever, you have something you want to do. You want to get out there. You got a great idea. And she point blank asked me, who cares? She said, who cares about you? And I was like, excuse me?
So we got a question in the Facebook page, and I think it's a good question. How long did it take you for you to recognize all this stuff?
Immediately. I recognize it immediately. So the benefit to the people watching is that means today you can recognize it. You don't have to go on another day without understanding, the what you need to know about developing and building your business. Just like you're attracted to certain things, so are certain people, and it's really ideal to hone in on them and to understand from the get-go that not everyone is your customer. You should want everyone to be, and not everyone cares about what you care about. Those aren't the people who you're really talking to or meant to serve, for that matter. Great question.
And I want to stay there for a minute, because I think that it's really important for people to hear that, because I think that we fit, we're going to be, and that's not necessarily true. Indeed, when you figure out who exactly you are talking to, your audience, like you said, will self-identify. Yes. And then you can really, really focus on selling to them. Absolutely. So that's a very important part.
Absolutely. I think just about the self-identification, I think that's important because the clarity is more important than reaching the goal initially.
Right.
And I hope that you all caught that. Clarity is more important, to be clear about what you're doing. It's kind of like having a roadmap that you spill water on. Well, that's no good. Like, where the heck are we going? So it's really important. It's like, I don't know what this says. Back when we had maps before we had Google, but y'all get the picture. And so that's kind of
Right.
really important, is to get really, really clear, so that you don't get in that fantasy world of everybody wants what I have. No, they don't. Get over it. They really do not. Everyone really doesn't. And it's so important to get that lesson right now so you can move on and start serving people and helping people who really do want what you have to offer.
Absolutely. So what do you suggest? And I really do want to go through and talk about having the 5 Ws and how to really put them into action. I mean, I noticed that we're having some technical difficulties. So if you click on the YouTube link, it will take you directly to the live feed, and you can see the entire webinar from the beginning if you haven't joined us already. So I apologize for that. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but we'll keep it moving, and we'll keep teaching, and you will keep hopefully gaining some valuable value out of this. So we talk about business, and we talk about brands, and we talk about them not being the same thing or the same thing. A lot of times I like to coach women on the fact that you indeed are your brand. I think that we so closely associate ourselves with either our company or our family, where we went to school, what sorority we're in, and while those are all really phenomenal things, it's not necessarily our brand or why we have value. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes. I always say that we're a walking billboard for what it is that we represent. And
Mm-hmm.
again, remember, everyone, please, the whole idea behind branding starts with core values. So it's kind of like, just like when you grew up, whatever your value system is when it comes to your business or what you're offering, just be real clear that you are a representation of that. I saw a post the other day on Facebook from Cheryl Wood, who's a coach, and she said that her husband was like, "Hey, you're Cheryl Wood. You can't walk out of the house looking crazy anymore, going to the store."
Right, right, right.
And she said she put on something, and because we all have our Walmart wear, and and she went someplace and someone recognized her, and it ended up turning into something. And so you're a representation all the time, so it's really important that
Mm-hmm.
you remember that. And it's not about people. You may say, well, people shouldn't judge me, they should accept me as I am. Okay, here's the deal. No, they shouldn't. No, they shouldn't judge you. Yes, they should accept you as they are, but they don't know you yet. And I
Right.
don't know when the last time was that we saw somebody on the street that was raggedy and wanted them to wanted them to help us live our dream. Because that's not how we work. I wish it was, but it's
Now,
not.
but I will say this. I mean, I think that it's a testimony to people, because I think part of really living your brand is making sure that you're authentic in who you are and what you do. So
Hmm.
I think it's really a great testimony when you can meet people in the street, and they're like, "Oh, you're just like you are on the radio, or you just
Yes.
like how I saw you in an interview, and the same things you say on Twitter, you say in real life." Because I don't want to be two different people. So I
Yes.
don't want to be like the public, Nikki Woods, and then the private Nikki Woods. Obviously, we all have our, like you said, our Walmart wear, and I don't dress up at home.
Oh, I can't hear
I
you.
think that when people meet me, they're
Nikki, you're stuck. Okay, Nikki, you're stuck. I can't. Okay, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, we love technology, so let me send her a text message.
Are
Are
you
you
there?
there? Yes. Hey,
Did you see my face? I was like, oh my gosh.
it froze, but that's okay.
That's okay. So what I was talking about is like the market research and doing the nitty gritty work and really getting in and doing the finding the numbers and all of that stuff. So let's talk about that now.
Okay, so just in reference to, so I'm responding to people that thought that we got disconnected. So the nitty gritty of it with the, trying to figure out, how do you build a bankable brand? And if any point, Nikki, if we have a problem, can you text me, okay? If any point you can't hear me. So part of it is people are attracted to what they feel about your brand. That's what your brand is. It's not only the typography and the website and all of those other things. It really is about the connection with who it is that you're talking to. One thing I can say, like with Women Recharge, is the brand is about being consistent. Okay, consistency is just the hugest thing. It's like people want to trust what's out there. They don't want to know that you're here today, gone tomorrow. So even if you don't have a surefire plan, which is totally okay, commit to being consistent with your brand. It's kind of like, it's like being in a relationship with someone. If someone is all kind of, they're playing double dutch, they're in, they're out. It's like, do I really want to trust this with my money, with my time, all of that sort of thing. So keep those things in mind. One of the first things I would say in reference to it is definitely get clear on what you want to do, what you're offering, what you're really selling, not just the visual of it, because the visual of it is and the imagery is wildly important. But I want you all to get what I call the boring part of business, but this is the part that really will help you become profitable, is understanding the demographics and the psychographics of who it is that you're connecting with, because you really have to drill in. It's like, okay, what are you selling? I wish, can we ask Nikki, can you ask someone for a specific issue that they may be having that maybe we can answer live, like a specific issue with their brand, and maybe, as we go through. Okay.
And
okay.
if you have something specific, I am going to take questions.
Okay, great. Hopefully I'm not talking over you because your voice froze. So I want to talk about the psychographics, and what that means is, what are the people interested in that you want to connect with? So,
You still there?
yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Okay. So what I want you all to do is I want you to create your
internet issues going on, but keep going.
Okay. I want you to create your ideal buyer. So who is your ideal person that you'd want to connect with? So just like you create a dating profile, I want you to create the same thing. On a sheet of paper right now, I want you to say, if you were creating your brand persona, who is that person? Who are those people? Where do they hang out? Where do they do business? Do they go on vacation? Do they have disposable income? Do they, what do they look like? What part of the world are they in? I want you to really get clear, because what happens is when you get super clear, you know how to communicate with them. And when you know how to communicate with a person, it is so easy for them to make a decision to connect with you, to do business with you, to refer you. So that's really important. I want everyone as an assignment to create your ideal brand persona, who that person is. Okay,
and I mean, you can even take it a step further. I mean, I know I actually find a picture of my ideal person, and I name her, I put her on my wall, and whenever I write anything or share any kind of content, I mean, I do it with her in mind, so that I know that I'm always on target. And that goes back to your point about we're not trying to talk to everybody. We have a specific client in mind, and so when you're clear about who that is, you're clear about what content you should be sharing.
Very good, absolutely. And in the group, Mary Boyce asks, what if you're trying to do too much? I love that question, because I'm sure that relates to a whole lot to people. So if you're trying to do too much, the first thing is stop trying to do too much. Okay? Stop trying to do too many things. The reason why you're doing too much is because you haven't identified who you're talking to. Once you identify who you're talking to, then you're only talking to that one person. Everything you do is to that one persona. And it makes it so simple to have that communication, because now it's just one person, even if it's millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, but I think probably to Mary's point, because I know I run into this a lot, because, we do a lot now. I mean, we do a lot. So I don't know if it's necessarily the question is talking to a lot of different people, but we just do a lot of different things. So when you look at I'm doing a morning show, or you look at me as a published fiction author, or you look at me as the CEO of my own company, I mean, that's doing a lot. So, but if they're all of my passions, how do you make sure that with all of these different things that we're doing, that we're still in line with our brand?
Well, sometimes while we're creating those different segments, it all needs to be true to you. And even with all of that, it still needs to be in line. Like everything that you're doing is still in line with media. So, for instance, you can't be selling popcorn over here and now tomorrow you're selling me insurance. Yeah. Like, it still needs to be clear. And it's not to say that, because listen, a lot of us are gifted, okay? We're kick-ass. Like, we can do multiple different things, but you can't do them all at the exact same time and expect them all to be successful. You have to weed it in. You're not going to miss the bus on anything. So if you hone in on that one thing, because listen, I do a lot of things too. But I can't do anything well if I'm all over the place. I'm not serving anyone. I can't create a lifestyle for myself. So it really is important that it all has that there's synergy between what you're working on. And if there's something you want to do that's kind of an off crazy thing, like for me, I want to, do this crazy thing over here, I'm going to do it. I'm just not doing it right now.
Gotcha.
Everything's not an urgent project that we need to attack at this very single moment. So I would say definitely pick what is if it's a revenue thing, what's the quickest thing that you can create that can create revenue for you, and let that be the driving force, and then let those other things circle around that you can then build extensions off of it once you get that kind of going well. And then you can start incorporating more if you even want more. Once you're successful with this one thing, you may find that it bridges you into other places that you didn't even know existed because you're more clear.
Right, and we're going to walk through. We want somebody to post, their a question about their brand, and we're going to actually walk through the 5 W's with you about your brand, and if you have questions. But Kim posted a question in the private Facebook page about giving discounts. What do you think about giving discounts when it comes to your brand?
Giving discounts? What's her exact question? What was it? Just giving discounts?
What do you think about specials or discounts, rewards programs?
I think that you have to be strategic in what you're doing and understand how people buy. We all know that there's a markup on everything, and that people have to generate some sort of revenue. And we know that marketing is psychological. So it's really about understanding the psychology of the marketing. So for instance, there's nothing wrong with it as long as you know why you're doing it. Just like there's nothing wrong with free, as long as you know why you're doing the free. Is the free a part of your strategy? So to me, if you want to give a discount, but know why you're giving it, and make sure you built in what you need the revenue that you need to make. So that means that, again, speaks to what you're offering to who, and is your audience going to pay for it? So you price your things accordingly based on what your revenue goals are. So when you know what your revenue goals are, then it's easier for you to say, okay, I can discount this because I'm still meeting my base goal. So even in anything that I do, I have 3 goals. I have a base goal, my actual goal. Base means if I made it, I'll be cool. Like, it's all right. Then I have my actual goal, like this is what I want to make. And then I have my kick-ass goal.
Okay, but let's talk about, and this is kind of on a different subject, but don't you think that for most of us, especially newly entrepreneurs, don't you think that we have a problem with pricing and really putting a tag on what we're worth? I think a lot of us give discounts and we do specials and we do free, not because we have a bigger goal like building our list or greater exposure, but because we don't really think that we're going to get the price tag that we're asking because our brand is not worth it.
Okay, so here I love that question. The first thing is your fee has nothing to do with your value or your worth. So if you're putting out pricing based on your value, nobody could afford it because you're worth way more than you could ever charge anyway. So throw
Mm-hmm.
that out the door, okay?
I like that.
Nobody's charging what they're worth, bottom line. So what you want to do is charge what is fair and what you need to make. So for instance, you may say, and again, it's about your revenue goals and why you're doing a specific thing. So I'll give you an example for people, let's say, who are coaches. If you have a program, you may say, I need to make $100,000 this year. Okay, you want to make $100,000. What are you going to create that's going to enable you to make $100,000? Certainly, you can't get paid $100 an hour because you're going to be talking to 100,000 people
right.
to make that all year. So then you start scaling back and asking yourself, working your way backwards, what do I need to create in order to generate that revenue?
Right.
And so again, it's not about the worth. The pricing really has to do more so with your goal and what your market will bear. What your market will bear matters, because, and it's not to say what they can afford. Again, don't spend other people's money, but what the market would bear, what is fair. And then that's how you begin to build it out. Don't build it on what you're worth, because that's not it. You're worth way more than you could ever charge. So the value, definitely you want to identify the value in what people are getting, meaning what you're really getting is X, Y, and Z based on what you want to make. So you may say, as your goal as an entrepreneur, you want to make $325 an hour. So when you compute everything that you're creating at $325 an hour, that's your total value. And then you may discount that to what is a fair marketable price for your audience. And then people need to know that. So when you're doing your pricing, they need to see that this is the value. So if you hired me on an hourly basis, this is what you'd be paying. But this is the incentive for enrolling, and this is what we're offering you because we want to serve you.
And I think that that's a good point, and that goes back to doing your market research, because one thing that I found is, unfortunately, people don't spend the same all over the country. So when I started looking at doing live events, people in Houston may not see or want to pay the price tag for an event that they would pay in Dallas or in Chicago. Yes. And it's just the way the market is. So really doing your research about how different people spend, and indeed being able to show them the value that they're going to get, because that's really what they want to see. Yeah. They want to see the value. They want to see what you're going to give them, and like you said, what the price tag is and why they have to buy into this. So I'm waiting for somebody to post about their brand. If we don't get one soon, then we are going to run through your brand, okay, Aprille, and just talk about how the 5 W's playing with your brand, or we can do mine, it doesn't matter. Okay. But I'm trying to wait to see if somebody wants their brand dissected.
Okay, and I'm on Twitter too, so make sure you guys are following the hashtag Real Global.
Okay, good.
Another thing too, if I could just interject, that a resource that I'd love to give you just to kind of start looking into it. And you all, let me just tell you something. This makes all the difference, understanding who you're talking to. Is go to quantcast.com, and that's QUANTCAST.com. It's a free resource that helps you kind of zone in and measure websites, apps, and just different things about audiences, where people are buying, clicking, in different parts of the country, and all sorts of different things. So I would really want you all to check that out. Again, it's quantcast.com. I'll post the link in the group on Facebook so that you all can have that. But it's really important. Another thing too, Nikki, while we're waiting, is I want to talk about the offline and the online brand. So when you're looking at the offline components, of course, that's like your copy development. So what is it that you're putting out there? Is the copy, i.e. content, i.e. words, that you're putting on flyers or business cards? Does all of that have a synergy with your online presence? Everything has to have a synergy. That means, now this is where we start talking about the brand imagery, which is what people see. Okay, the brand, the overall brand is what people feel. Okay, so this is what creates that. So you want to spend some time on copy development. Who's developing your copy? Is what you're writing speaking to that woman or that man or that family, that audience that ultimately wants and needs your product or service? So you really have to ask yourself some of those questions. So what I would challenge you to, my second challenge is, look at your offline and your online visual imagery now, not this very minute, but today, tomorrow. Look at it and see if it's all mirroring, or would a person be confused? Would what they see in you in person, is it match, or your company, does that match when they pull it up online versus when you give them a business card or some flyer to something? Does all of that have the same type of feel? Is all of it, you know what I'm saying? So I really think that that's important too, to make sure that all of that matches the you know, that part of it.
And that goes back into planning. I mean, one thing that we didn't talk about in the very beginning, I mean, I think people are always branding themselves, whether they know it or not. And we just want to be intentional about how we're branding ourselves, because somebody told me recently, and I totally agree, it's easy to brand yourself. The challenge is having to rebrand yourself. So once you brand, I mean, branding yourself is easy. Everything that we do, either, you know, it goes into our brand, whether it supports what we think we're branding ourselves as or not. Somebody also told me that your brand is what people say about you when you leave the room, not what you say about yourself, but the impression, like you said, that you leave people with. So what do people say about you and your brand when you leave? Maybe totally different what you think, and that's the same way visually. You are never going to go to a McDonald's and not know that it's a McDonald's. You're just not. Whether it's in Germany, whether it's in Jamaica, which is surprising, or whether it's here, you know, you always know that you're in a McDonald's, and that's the truth for, you know, every major brand. So online and offline, we just want consistency. And with us being in so many different real estate spots now, we want to make sure that all of our real estate indeed looks the same and has that same feel to it.
Well, you know, I think those are good points, because what I want people to take away as well is just look at how we get information now, and how many times a day we are marketed to. So remember, you know, before, the only time we were marketed to before smartphones was on television or the radio. We didn't have all the in between, so there wasn't a confusion. If I saw a commercial in the morning, I remember that commercial all day long, right? Well, now I can see a commercial in the morning. I can then go on my cell phone and see a gazillion things between the AM when I leave and PM when I get home.
Right.
So how are you standing out? You are competing with all of this. Okay, all these different messages, you're competing on a consistent basis. So the more consistent looking, now we already talked about the feel, okay, and connecting with the right people. So now that you have the right people looking at you, the more consistent you can be across all platforms, the better it is, because people are no longer confused. Because when they see your stuff, they know that it's your stuff. They're not like, oh my God, I don't know who that is. Okay, oh wait, you know, you want them to be crystal clear. So I think that's a really good point.
Okay, so are you looking in the Facebook group?
Who, me?
Yeah, because we're starting to get some businesses to post, so I want you to pick one that you want to kind of walk through. And whoever we pick, you're going to need to be present with us so that we can ask you some questions as we go along.
Okay.
So Safari, put her brand, Mr. Safari, or his brand, I'm sorry, Mr. Safari, Good Music. Naretha Hobson, her brand, speaker, social innovator, which I love. Founder of Character and Leadership Development Company.
Okay.
And there was a couple more that I can't see.
Yeah, I see Juicy Pieces. And okay, so I'll start with Safari since you said that first.
Okay.
So I definitely, okay. Mr. Safari. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and we just want to make sure that we're not forgetting the 5 W's that we need to build a bankable brand. So what do you care about? Who cares what you care about? What are you really selling? What does it look like? And what are you driving?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's and what are you driving? That speaks to how are you delivering the messages. Okay, so the brand is who you're talking to, what you're selling, the brand imagery, all that. Now, how are you getting it to the people that need to get it? But really quickly, I just want to switch to online on some of this. And really, I can't. So Safari, if you can ask me a question and you're in that same place where you posted that, I can't dissect it because your brand is not just a website. It's not just your YouTube channel. So if you can, ask me something. Be specific, okay? Get real specific with me. My brand Juicy Pieces, I think one of the things to keep in mind is outside of, okay, so my brand Juicy Pieces, what I would do, definitely, what I would do right now is this right here. I'm not sure who you're talking to, and I'm not sure if you're talking to me. If I clicked on this, I wouldn't be sure that I'm your customer, and I could be your customer. Do you understand? I could very well be your customer. I will probably wear some of this, but because I'm not sure, you're not speaking to me. There's nothing here really speaking to anyone. When you pull it up above the fold, meaning I'm looking at this on a website, on my laptop, it's not really speaking to me. Another thing that, just in reference to Juicy Pieces, which congratulations on launching this. I love the little embroidery black bracelet too, by the way, is that even just the font on Juicy Pieces accessories. Like, you can go to Google Fonts and there's 500 fonts there. And because you're using WordPress, you can install that. It probably comes with the theme already, and jazz that up a little bit. So when people pull it up, it's like, oh, Juicy Pieces. I mean, when you say juicy, baby, you got to come on with the juice. So, make me feel like it's juicy. What's juicy about this? And I almost would want to see a woman's face, like with the jewelry, like, on, and like this, like Juicy Pieces. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to feel what you're trying to put out. And I think a lot of times with our brands, we try to play safe. Right now, I feel like, Nikki, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like we can be a little more liberated. We could be more authentic with what we're really trying to convey. Because Juicy Pieces, like, I'm all over that name.
Right, and you know what? It's interesting, and I'm going to give you a story. Mary Boyce, who is in the group, she might not like that I'm going to do this, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I think it speaks to the same point that you're making. One of the things that Mary and I do together, and we work on tons of projects, is a video series called Mama's Gone Wild. And so when you hear that title, you automatically think of certain things with the Girls Gone Wild kind of videos. But the name just kind of came to us through a series of happenings as we worked with Tom, and Tom kind of labeled, and we decided we were going to go ahead and do it because we wanted to talk to mothers particularly. But I think that if we had probably thought it through and done it in a different way, that we might have come up with a different title. Because, I mean, sometimes we have to walk through the room like, we're not taking any clothes off here. That's not the way it's going to go down, because we're not that wild. It's really not going to get that wild. But it was just a fun name, and it stuck, and we've worked with it. But you really have to think these things through. I'm like you. I'm looking for juicy. I'm looking for really, really sexy kinds of stuff here. So you really have to think it. And I don't know if that's the direction you want to go in or not, but that's something to consider.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, but the name in itself, and again, it's all about that name, because if you're standing, like, I need Juicy Pieces at a Fabulous New You.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who doesn't want Juicy Pieces? I mean, and it's like, Juicy Pieces of what? I just want it because it sounds juicy. So
we'll post the information. Aprille mentioned her conference that she's having coming up in Oklahoma on March 15th, so we'll post the information for that too. But let's do this, because then we'll go back to taking questions. But let's go through your brand and let's answer these questions so people really have a concrete way to see how a brand comes together. Okay. So I posted the 5 steps that you need to build a bankable brand, the 5 W's in the private Facebook group. What do you care about? Who cares about what you care about? What are you really selling? What does it look like? And what are you driving? So let's look at Women Recharge and your brand and all of that means. So for the first one, what do you care about?
I care about women. I care about women who have been through trauma. I care about women who think that they are failures or have been told that they are. That's what I care about. Okay. So for me, those are the types of women that I want to connect with, because those are the same things that I can identify with, or could have, that I used to identify with, and I still do, with those types of people who have been kind of, misunderstood, if you will.
All right. So who cares? And we can go through my brand too, because I think that even though some people think that everybody, if you're in like the whole motivation realm that you all talk about and care about the same things, but your audience is distinctly different from mine. Mm-hmm. So it might be interesting to contrast those two. So who cares about what you care about?
The women that care about what I care about are women who who either are progressive or want to be. They're visionaries, they're dreamers. Those are the women who care about what I care about. Those women are usually African American, about 92%, between the ages of 30 and 48 is typically my age. That I attract, and I attract a lot of women that are much older than me, and usually not the young women. Usually the people that are attracted to me are not in their 20s, or they're coming out of that 27 cusp of, what the hell, I'm almost 30 now. So those are the people who care about what I care about. So for me, what I found when I created my own brand persona, Nikki, was that the people that my brand persona really was me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what are you really selling?
I'm selling a peace of mind and possibility. At the end of the day, people want a peace of mind. They want to be internally happy with themselves. And that's what I'm selling. I'm selling eternal happiness with yourself. I'm selling comfort and acceptance of oneself when it comes to Women Recharged. With my branding business, we are selling an outcome, which is really clarity and still a peace of mind. It all is so married together. Like just really clarity and a peace of mind around what you're doing. Because what you find is when you get real clear on certain things, it really gives you that opportunity to clear up some of the other stuff you didn't even know that you had to clear up. So for me, that's what I'm really selling is clarity. And what clarity does is it brings blessings to you in ways that you had no idea, and it opens up another part of your mind, I think, to enable you to be more successful and to do things more intently, as opposed to being reactive with your business, just on the business side.
And what does that look like? What does it look like?
What does what look like?
That's the fourth W. What does it look like?
Oh, what does the brand look like?
What does the brand look like?
Thought you were asking. So when you say what does that look like, what is the whole? You're so funny. What does the whole brand look like for you? What does it look like to the people who when you package it? What is the entire puzzle? What is this? What is my product? If I was going to put it in this little origami owl deal, what does it look like? What is my end thing? After I've identified who I'm talking to, what I care about, how I'm going to deliver it to them, and all of that, what is really that thing that's on the shelf, that's on the shelf at Target or whatever, or Walmart, what's the thing? And how juicy looking is it? How does it feel when I see it, when I hear it, when your customers see it, when they hear it? The whole point around your brand is that you want people to self-identify. You want them to say, that is for me. Mm-hmm. That's for me. That cheeseburger's for me. Those earrings are for me. This music is for me. That coach is for me. You want people to say, that is for me. And so once you go through those steps, you really begin to identify and do the work. And it really begins to kind of grow on its own. Another thing, Nikki, I just want to say real quickly is I want you all to understand that your brand will evolve, meaning where you develop at this point is going to grow. So things may be different because once you get clear, you'll begin to learn more. Your customers will then begin to tell you more feedback. Go ahead.
No, yeah, no, because but no, and I agree with you. I mean, I think that people should know that brands do evolve. I mean, the McDonald's, we'll keep using, brands that people really recognize. The McDonald's in the 50s is not the same McDonald's that we see nowadays. But I think that we have to be really intentional about creating a good brand that can evolve and that can evolve and take people with them. I mean, Nikki Woods is an aged brand. I mean, it's not something that started 2 years ago. So it's like when you look at when my brand first started, I wasn't married. I didn't have any children. I was really young. I was in the club and I was doing different kinds of things. So my brand appealed to a different kind of person. But my brand was still based on the core values that I had as a person. And so even as I went through all of these different life changes, having children and getting married and coming out of the club and preaching, kind of, growing it in the way that I think, you know, my brand had to grow with me.
Yeah.
But that's different than having to rebrand yourself because your brand isn't built on who you authentically are. So I don't want people to get confused about that. It's not like your brand changes. Your brand evolves, which are two different things.
Yes, yes.
So I just want to be clear. I know that that's what you're saying, but I don't want people to get confused. Your brand should not change.
Yes.
It should grow and it should evolve.
Yes.
So that's why you want to be very intentional from the beginning of building your brand on who you authentically are.
Yes.
So that it can evolve.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that distinction. Someone just said in the group, Nikki, what does what does your brand look like, or what should it look like? Should it please us or should it please the customer? Okay, I love that question. Who's buying? Forget you. Who's buying?
It's not about you anymore.
I mean, come on. Like, you're creating things that you want people to buy. We got to get out of this, you know, because listen, I'm married to what I do too. Okay, but everything I do doesn't mean that everybody wants it. Sometimes it was just a good idea. Everything you're creating is to serve the person. It just needs to be authentic to how you're going to serve them. I don't care if it's a product, service, if you're selling Kit Kats or something, not Kit Kats, but some other chocolate bar on the side of the road. But you understand what I'm saying? So make it for the person, and because the person has to buy. Don't you want to create something for people that they want to buy, as opposed to creating something you think they need and then you have to convince them that they need it?
Yeah, that's why back to doing research, back to ask people what they want. The way to really be successful is to solve a problem from somebody. That's why we have infomercials now that are so big. People stay up late at night getting problems solved, from the Swifter to, you know, the vacuum that moves around by itself. Yeah. They are solving problems that we have, and that is how you can truly be successful. You have to figure out what people really have a problem with and then fix it for them.
Absolutely, I love it.
And then fix it for them. But I think that, you know, like April's brand is a lot different from my brand. Aprille is the kind of person where she takes your hand and she pulls you along and she makes sure that you get there. Once Aprille pulls you, that's when I want you. I don't want to have to yank you, and I know that. I know that about myself. There are people that serve at different levels. Yeah. I have one friend, Dr. Venus Opal Reese, who is talking to sisters making 6 figures because she wants to make them 7 figures. She wants to make them millionaires. But you have to be at a certain level to play with her. So you have to realize that there are people to serve everybody's needs. I don't have to do it all, because I got Venus to serve one end, I got Aprille to serve another, I got all these fabulous coaches, Cece to serve here. I got all these fabulous coaches. I don't have to do it all. And if that doesn't take a weight off your shoulders, nothing else can. But you have to be clear about who you are and who you're trying to serve.
Absolutely. I love it.
Very cool. So the last part of that is, what are you driving and how is your brand being driven? So how do you respond to that when it comes to Women Recharged?
So my brand is being driven by several different platforms. So I utilize, and I just told someone, I will pimp my brand, okay? and I am not afraid to do that. And the reason why is because I have something. First of all, there's people that need what we're offering. Mm-hmm. And people are in different lanes. And in order for me to serve people in those different lanes, I need to be driving multiple vehicles. So some of those vehicles are social media. Some of those vehicles are live events locally. Some of those vehicles are virtual events. Some of it's video. Some of it's audio. Because we all receive different, and your customers receive information differently. Mm-hmm. Okay, some people love video, some people love audio, some people never check their emails, they're only on Facebook. A lot of times we get so married to what we want to do, we forget about how we can connect with people that need what we have. That's why we're in these places. If you feel like I'm everywhere, it's because I can serve people everywhere. So if you see me everywhere, that should be about right, because you see what I'm saying, Nikki?
Yeah, but I was going to say, but know that not everybody is everywhere like we're everywhere. Like, I see Aprille everywhere because I too am everywhere. But not everybody plays like that.
Right.
People get scared, like, okay, if I'm on Twitter all day and I'm on Facebook all day and I'm, YouTube, and the people are going to get sick of me. And that's not true, because people don't do all three the way that, a lot of us do all three. Some people only watch YouTube.
Yes.
Fast and in a hurry, and that's why they stay on YouTube. Yeah. Some people don't want to read a big long Facebook post. They want it in 140 characters or less, so they hang out on Twitter. But you need to find out where your people are. As much as I love Twitter, my folks are on Facebook. So I had to learn to adapt to Facebook really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And learn how to speak to people on Facebook. So you have to figure out, but that's back to doing that doggone market research. You got to figure out where the people are that want what you have, and then you need to be there too. But like Aprille says, you can speak to them on different platforms. So I may write a blog that talks about something, and then I'll YouTube it, and it's all the same thing. It's just giving people a different way to receive it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I totally agree.
Francine is talking about me. She's like, you are everywhere. She's everywhere with me.
That is so funny. Yeah, I love that because it's so not about you. And I think we get caught up with the brand because we're passionate about what we're doing and we want people to connect with it. But let me just say, it is so not about you. Your business is not. You're creating. If you were creating what you're creating for you to use it, we'd all be done.
You'll be by yourself. We'd all be sitting. And Debbie makes a good question. Debbie is going to be at the Fabulous New You conference in Oklahoma on March 15th also. And she said, but if you want your brand business to be successful, it may be a necessary evil to be everywhere. And she says she doesn't really care very well, and she's got some great videos that you can watch on YouTube too. But it is. It's just a new way. I mean, you know, if you look at my brand, I mean, my brand is indeed encouraging people to gain visibility by getting involved in social media and developing a platform along with doing other things. So, you know, I think it was Bill Gates that said it a long time ago. I mean, if you want to be a business nowadays, you have got to be online in some form or fashion if you want to be a successful business. And so your brand has got to be very visible online too. So we got about 5 more minutes. We might go a little bit longer because I want to honor the fact that we had a little bit late of a start. But if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them so that we can get them answered.
Yes, yes. And you know, Nikki, too, I think in reference to what to Deborah Fox, what she's saying is, you know, sometimes you have to be everywhere. Again, master that one thing initially, you know, so if it's Facebook, you got to get it down. It's not just about being willy-nilly with what we're doing, you know, oh, let me go post over here, let me do this. It's so strategic, y'all, okay? Right. I can't even tell you. And here's a tip, just for if you want to do some Facebook stuff, and I know we're not doing Facebook training, but me and Nikki are, you know, we both do a lot of Facebooking. Sit down. Write down the numbers 1 through 31 on a sheet of paper or on your computer. Have an AM and a PM for each day, so that equals 62 posts, and create the content for it. Look at the calendar and say, what do I have coming up in the next 30 days? You know that there's Fridays, there's weekends, you know there's Mondays, you know there's holidays in there. You know you have different events you're going to be at probably already. You can go ahead and schedule those things. Start bulking your pictures. When you go out, take a bunch of pictures of stuff. When you eat, take a bunch of pictures. You can post them later. And then what do? You go on Facebook. You can use Hootsuite, or you can use the Facebook scheduler. You can use whatever, and then schedule those out. This is about 3 hours of your time. So the basics are there. So you're not dormant, because you know being dormant online is just like when you go to a store. If you walked in a store that was open and no one was there to help you, you'd walk out.
You'd walk out.
That's just like your social presence. If you're not, the door is open, okay? If you got a profile and people can find it, the door is open. If they walk in and you're not there, what the hell? They can't buy anything. You can't sell them anything. So, you know, that's part of it. So get that plan together. Again, just write that down, 2 posts a day. I do an AM and a midday or a PM, and then you can start tweaking and watching your insights to see what your audience is looking for. What your audience is looking for, okay?
And I was going to say, and that social media makes it really easy to gauge that. I mean, I know, and when I post may not be the best time for Aprille to post or for anybody else to post, because like I said, all of our audiences are different. So you have to figure out when, you know, like I do a thing because I get up so god-awful early to go to work in the morning that I do like an early AM roll call for the people that are either working late night shift or they get up early like I do. And it's really, really popular, but not everybody obviously can get up that early and do that. But I do, so it's something that I do. So you have to figure out what connects you differently to people. I mean, you know, if you look at Aprille's Facebook page, you're going to see a lot of stuff you're not going to see on mine. But it's good because that's who she is, and it gives you a good glimpse of the kind of person you're going to get when you meet her offline, because she truly shows up the same way.
And you know what I love about that too, because sometimes I say things that are kind of offensive, which means that because I can be kind of brash sometimes, which means that if you don't like that, I don't work with me. That's how clear you have to be. Do you understand? Because everyone can't be your customer. You can't serve everyone. It's just going to tick everybody off. People aren't going to be happy. So when you're authentic, then it's easier because people know what they're getting into. When people work with me through coaching, they say, "I want you because I need someone who's not afraid to tell me the truth."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it, So same thing with, with Nikki. And I know, Nikki, you have some media training and some stuff coming up soon. So, the people who are attracted to that are going to be the people who want that global visibility that we're talking about. And all this leads to that. Like she was saying, once I take your hand and drag you to her, the next thing is the global piece. And media and social media has made it so easy for you to connect with people all over the globe, not even just, in your own backyard, but just even beyond that. So, yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, Aprille Franks-Hunt, and we're going to be sending out a replay of this video for those who weren't able to join and who didn't join us in the very beginning. And we'll have all her information so you can find out about the Fabulous New. We'll post it in the private Facebook, but you can find her everywhere on social media just by Googling. But I really appreciate that when I ask you for absolutely anything, you always show up. So just know how much I appreciate you for that, and just stopping by and talking branding. I know how we both love it, and so it's always fun to talk and share, and I learn from you every single time we have a conversation. So I want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're so sweet. I just love you. Let me say this, you guys. I have to say this. This woman is the sweetest person. She is so sweet. I swear. I know she's like this powerhouse media person, but she has the sweetest spirit. And what you see online from her is how motivational she is. Like, that is really her, and it's really good. So I love Nikki. Nikki's awesome, and I can't wait for you all to also watch her brand as it evolves as well. So make sure y'all are following Nikki and stalking me too. And
yeah.
And Nikki, thank you. I'm honored, really, and yeah. So.
Well, thank you, and I thank you guys for hanging out with us. Like I said, technology, sometimes you can't, help what happens, but I'm one of those on-air personalities, and you work through whatever. So I will make sure that I send this out to everybody again tomorrow. If you want to take time and look at that. You want to take your time and review it again at your leisure. If you want to email us, or even you're part of our private Facebook community now, you can post questions in there, and we will still respond. Our interaction definitely does not end here. So I just want to thank you for taking busy we all are. So I just want to thank you, for that. And I know that we'll be seeing each other, probably in a few seconds back online.
Yeah.
But enjoy your night. Like I said, you can email us. You can post in the private Facebook community. I'll still be hanging around for a little bit to answer more questions. But I appreciate your time. All right. Thanks, Aprille. I love you, girl.
Love you too.